Okay, today we're going to look at question 8, chord progressions. You have a choice here of A or B or C. Now we're going to do the backing chords, which is C. So we'll be glancing back at A and B because there's a wealth of little hidden bits of information here that you can use when you're doing your backing chords question, and you'll see what I mean by that a little bit later on. Before we move on to doing the backing chords question, there's a term I want to explain to you, and that is cadence. A cadence is made up of the last two chords in a musical phrase. They're a bit like punctuation. There are two cadences that give an unfinished sound, a bit like a comma. One is the imperfect cadence, which is anything to 5. So that means the chord of 1 followed by the chord of 5, or the chord of 2 followed by the chord of 5, or the chord of 4 followed by the chord of 5, or the chord of 6 followed by the chord of 5. Any of those are an imperfect cadence. The second one that gives you an unfinished sound is the interrupted cadence, which is the chord of 5 followed by the chord of 6. Then there are two cadences which give a finished sound, or that sound like an ending, a bit like a full stop in punctuation, and these are the perfect cadence, which is the chord of 5 followed by the chord of 1, and the plagal cadence, which is the chord of 4 followed by the chord of 1. If you're thinking now, I'm never going to remember any of those cadences, this is where the section A and B come in really handy, because all that information is actually here on the page. So you have here, it says plagal cadence, and it tells you in brackets what that is, 4 to 1. It has your interrupted cadence, and it tells you here that that's a 5 to 6. And it has a perfect cadence with its approach chord. Now, so the 2 is an approach chord, we're not worried about that. The perfect cadence itself is 5 to 1. That's in the B part of the question, and in the A part of the question, all the other ones are there. So we've already had the interrupted. We have an imperfect cadence here, which in this case is 1 to 5, but really anything to 5 will work as an imperfect cadence. So all your information is there on the page for you. Okay, I'm going to play those cadences for you now so that you know what they sound like. That one is the interrupted cadence, 5 to 6. And it doesn't sound like an ending, it sounds like it needs to continue on. The next bit here then is that's the chord of 1 followed by the chord of 5, which is one of the imperfect cadence types you can have. So that again doesn't sound like an ending, it sounds like it needs to continue on. This one here is our perfect cadence, so this is 5 followed by 1, and that does sound like an ending. And the very last one here then is the plagal cadence, which sounds like this. That is very often used at the end of a hymn, and it's sometimes called the Amen cadence. So I'll play that one again. That's this one. Okay, so we're going to look at how to do the section C of this question, which is the backing chords. So the backing chords are filled into these boxes here, and they're typically played by somebody on guitar or keyboard while somebody is either singing the melody or playing it on an instrument. The first 4-bar phrase is done for you, so they're already filled in. And the question says, study the following tune in the key of F major. So it's even telling you what key. You don't even have to figure out what key it's in. It's already there for you. It is intended for chordal accompaniment. So we're going to fill in the first 4 chord symbols are given. Now fill in the other 9 boxes as follows. Select a suitable symbol as a backing chord in each box. Do not use Roman numerals, for example 1, 2, 4, etc. Do not have the same symbol twice in succession. So we're going to do our rough work first and figure out our chords. So we've been told we're in the key of F major. So let's write out the names of the notes in that scale. So the scale of F major starts on F, and you go up F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Now we need to be careful to go and look at our key signature here. See, is there any sharps or flats that we need to worry about? And there's a flat here on the third line, so that's every good boy. So the little loop of the flat is on the B, so that is a B flat. So we need to be careful to include that. So we go back down here and put a flat in beside that B. Under that then, I would write my Roman numerals so I know which chord is which. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have an F here and an F at the beginning, so we don't really need that twice, so we'll just get rid of that. Now for the junior cert, you don't need to use the chord of 3 or the chord of 7, so you can cross them off as well. So we only have actually 5 chords to worry about. 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6. Now the chords of 1, 4 and 5 are what are called primary triads. 1, 4 and 5. They're primary triads and they are major. Okay, and the Roman numerals are always written in uppercase. Yeah, so those are major. And the other two, the chords of 2 and 6, are secondary chords, or secondary triads, and they are minor. Now, the reason that is very important is because you must remember to write in MIN, for short for minor, beside the chord of 2 and the chord of 6. Now, the Roman numerals for the 2 and the 6 are written in lowercase, okay? So you think I'm not going to remember that information. That information is also on the page here for you. If you look back up here, you can see there's 4 in uppercase, 1 in uppercase, 5 in uppercase. We have a 2 and a 6 in lowercase. So you can check back. The lowercase ones are minor and you must remember. So that is there for you to refer back to if you don't remember. Okay. So above our chords now, we're going to write the triads. Now I usually, for rough work, have at the top of the page the letters of the note names written out twice. So I have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, so if I'm looking to do the triad starting on F, I'll go to F, skip a note to A, skip a note to C. So I'll never make a mistake that way. Okay, so our first one is the notes of the chord of F are F, skip a note to A, skip a note to C. Our notes in the triad on G are G, skip a note to B flat, skip a note to G. The notes on the triad of B flat are B flat, skip a note to D, skip a note to F. On the chord of C, we have C, skip a note to E, skip a note to G. Here on D minor we have D, skip a note to F, skip a note to A. So those are our 4 chords or triads written out. If you're not sure what triads or chords are, you can have a look at the clip on question 6, which is the triads question, and it's fully explained in that. Okay, our next step then is to look at the notes. We have to decide what chord options we have that will match with this bar here. Now we have to consider every single note, not just the first note, but all of the notes in the bar. And we're going to look here, just for some people find these ledger lines quite difficult, so we're going to move over to this one and just have a look. Your first line here is every good boy, so that's E. If you look here then one step below that E, we're going backwards through the alphabet, so E goes down a step to D. And one little ledger line below that is one step below D is C. Okay, so here we have C, 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 F and C, C. Okay, so we're looking for a chord that has both of those in it. Okay, so here we have F and there's a C in that. So that looks like a good candidate for that chord. Let's have a look. There's nothing there. There's an F there but no C, there's a C there but no F, and there's an F there but no C. So we're going to go with this one here, and we can fill that straight in because we don't have any other option. So F is our chord for there. Our next box here only goes as far as there. So we only have to consider this note here, which is one step below our E line. So that's D, D, D. So if we look down here, which of these triads has a D in it? There's none in that. There's a D here in our G minor, so let's write that down as an option. G minor. It's also here in the chord of 4 in our B flat, which is B flat major, and it's also in the D minor chord here, so we can write that down as an option. Okay, the next chord box goes as far as there, so we've only one note to consider, and it is G. So let's look for chords with G in it. It's available there in the G minor. There's no G in that. There's a G here in our chord of 5, which is C. And that's it. So we have two options there. Now the next one, we have we have a bar and a half as far as there to consider. So we're looking at E, E, E. This is a D, this is C, that's a D, and this is an E. So we have C, skip a note to E. The D here is a passing note filling in the gap between that E and that C, so we don't need to worry about that. And this D here is a passing note filling in the gap between this C and this E. So we're looking for chords with C and E in it. Let's have a look. There's C there with no E. We have both of them here. Okay, so the chord of 5, C is the chord we're going to use here. There's no other option, so we can fill it in straight into the box. Okay, the next one, now be very careful here, because we have to actually consider all the notes over here as well, because the next box isn't until there. So we have to consider all of these notes. So we're looking at F, we're looking at A, and we're looking at C. So let's look, there we have, look, F, A, C, all three of them are in that chord. So we can fill that straight in because that is the chord we're looking for. Now, if you look at that, we have there C, which is the chord of 5, to F, which is the chord of 1. That, as it happens, is a perfect cadence at the end of this phrase. Okay, it's 4-bar phrase there, and we have a perfect cadence. Let's carry on and see what the next few boxes have in store. First one here is D, D, which we've already figured out from here because we have D's here, so we already know that it's G minor, B flat, and D minor are our options. The next one, we have two notes to consider. We have a C and an A. So there's A and C in that chord, so that's a possibility. Is there an F and an A and a C anywhere else? A and C is not in any other chord, so we can fill that one in straight away. So that's the chord of F, which is the chord of 1, is going in there. Now our last two boxes, this is the ending. So we want a cadence in these last two boxes, and we would really want it to be a 5-to-1 perfect cadence, or if that doesn't work, we're looking for a 4-to-1 perfect cadence. We have to have that final cadence in here. So let's look at this box here. We're going all the way to here. So we have C, 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 E, G. We're hoping it's a chord of 5, and look here, sure enough, we have C, E, G. All three of them are in that, so that's our 5, which is the chord of C, is going in there. And we're wanting this hopefully to, well, it needs to be a 1. And we have the note F, which there is in the chord of 1. So that is our 5-to-1, C to F. C to F, 5-to-1. Okay, so that's our cadence done. Let's go back now and look at the boxes that we didn't fill in. Now, allowed to have the same symbol twice in succession. So we can't use C here because we have it here. So we can get rid of that. That means we have to use the G minor in here. Now, if we go backwards again, we're looking at this one here. We can't use G minor in two boxes beside each other. So we cross that off and we're left with two options there. We have an F here on this side, which doesn't have any effect on that. So either of those two, they would be equally correct. Down here we have three choices, and again any one of the three would work there. And that's how you do your backing chords question.